Hey, so let's get one thing straight. The student movement is always right. And if you learned anything from history, you always have to be on the side of the students, right? I mean, we learned it from America, the early 60s. You had the segregation. It was led by the students. And then you have late 60s where it was the... wait, what happened in late 60s? Vietnam, right? And that lasted for 10 years, which means that if you're protesting right now, and you're against the system and you're for disrupting the system, you have to keep it going. This is longevity. It's not like, it's not like a bottle of Coke, you shake it and then, you lose the gas or whatever. That was a weird example. But the thing is like, we're in it for the long run. That's what I'm trying to say. So they had the Vietnam War, they protested for freaking 10 years before the government listened. And then you have the 80s, the apartheid, the student led that movement. And then there is the Iraq War in 2003. The students were against it. And what else? Oh, 2011, it was wealth inequality. That was also led by the student. So you have all these numbers, and then you decide to be on the government side. Do you want a cookie for that? You want a little bit of diploma? It makes no sense. Like, you think you're so cool because you support CNN. You love your government, so you support them. That doesn't make you special. You know what it makes you? Basic. You're quite literally the mainstream. That's what you are. You listen to these, the majority of the people, they are following the mainstream. Like, whatever the government tells them and whatever the news are telling them, that's what they believe in. And then you have all these idiots who are going around thinking, oh, I'm so special. You know what? I'm against this movement. I'm against the liberation. No one cares about you, especially not the government. So for me, I think it's just another way of saying that, oh, yet again, I'm doing something right in my life. Do you know what I mean? And that is such a good confirmation because, sometimes you live your life, and as you go through the journey of life, no one is telling you like, oh yes, you're doing so well morally, right? And you can only tell it. And even if you look back in history, we can all say, oh, of course I will be against the Nazis. Of course I will be against slavery. The majority of the people would not. That's what history tells you. But to actually live it and see the idiots in real life, I mean, it's remarkable. How do you not have any critical thinking? You just go about your life and whatever you're told, you believe. A sheep in human form. That's wild. But anyways, I think it's very interesting to see that the students are risking their education and they're risking their livelihood for humanity. And that is something that I truly believe, that's why the government is so terrified of them and are reacting so violently towards their peaceful protests. It's because these kids, and you have to understand, the children that are attending, the students that are attending the Ivy League, they are the next generation of the ruling class. They are the next batch of them. So if these kids are not led by power and money, and they start to care about community and they care about people's liberation. Oops, that's awkward, right? They're disrupting the status quo. These people are the next generation of presidents and congressmen, and we all know they don't give a shit about any community or the people. So you have like these young kids, and some of them are so, I don't think you understand how elite these kids are and the class that they belong to. Their parents are literally funding the universities. They are funding if the university wants a new library, who's paying for it? Not Joe Biden. The parents are paying for it. Yale wants a new wing. The parents are going to pay for it. So these are the powerful kids who are deciding, who are putting everything online to protest for humanity. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, I've always been anything that disrupts the ruling class. I enjoy chaos, let's be honest. Anytime there's a bit of chaos, I thrive in it. That's where I do my best. And that's literally where I shine. So anyone who's against something usually intrigues me. That's just my nature. So the fact that you see 19-year-olds who don't give a shit and you have these freaking idiots, they're called the National Guard. Do you know how powerful you have to be? I mean, I know Tel Aviv is stressed out, and so is Washington, and so is, every ally. And now it has spread. So you have it spread to California, Paris. And just a few days ago, they started protesting in Oslo. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Truly. It really is. And it gives me so much hope. These kids are the majority of my followers, they are at that age gap, right? The group, I mean. So to know that I am on their side, I get you, I understand you, and I support you, is mind-blowing to me because, the chances are we also could have been idiots. You never know. Do you know what I mean? You go about life, and because sometimes you grow up with people, you go to high school and you check their Facebook and you go, oh, Lord, what happened here? Right? They lost track. What happened to them? They got angry, somebody dumped them, whatever happened, and now they're right-wing. That could happen. Or you can also have those privileged people from the global south, which is basically the president of Colombia. That woman, she's Egyptian. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. But she is privileged. So you can have people who look like you. They're actually called Uncle Tom. And that's an American term. You can Google it. No, actually, don't Google it. Google is shit. You should TikTok it. No, honestly, I love that. Do you know something else that I found out? That Palestinian content on TikTok has so many views that if you take the 10 biggest news channels in America combined, TikTok has more views than those idiots. So of course they're shaking. I would be pissed off too. Because how are you going to do, let's say if I was a dictator, you kind of need the mainstream media. You need the media to tell people how to think and how to act. So if they're not even bothered to watch your crap, well, then you're in trouble. What are you supposed to do? Go house to house, right? I mean, they're not Jehovah's Witness. They're not going to go to your house and give you pamphlets about whatever they want you to believe. So I found that very interesting. So I, of course, love TikTok now because of it. Well, I've always been on it. I've been hiding, but I just recently noticed, I was following this tech girl, woman, incredible. She's from LA and all that. And she used to work for Google. And I thought, and I went on my computer and I thought, shit, I don't remember last time I actually used Google, right? So I encourage you to not use it for whatever reason. Yeah, I love the elitist kids now. So I lived in New York for a bit. So I do have friends who are the ruling class. We're all ashamed of it, but it happens because you're at a dinner and you talk to people and then all of a sudden you find out, oh shit, But anyways, you meet these people and then now, I follow them on social media and I see how engaging they are and how enraged they are. And they, everyone is arguing with their parents and disagreeing with them and actually having the important conversations. It is wild. So if you haven't woken up still, I think it's time to get up from your slumber. And honestly, whenever I watch the news, I feel like I'm watching the last season of The West, their global dominance. Honestly, every day there's something. They're on their last gasp of the dominance. They're losing to the global south. And you know what happens? Is that it feels like they don't want to share the power. It's only going to be, no, me. They're so used to being the exception. And that will be the end of it for them. It's kind of like, didn't your mama teach you how to share? You should share it, especially if you're losing it. So it's either you share with others, you let other people come to the power and have a say. Have a say, or you lose it. Wouldn't it be better? So right now, what they're doing is you're either a friend or a foe, right? So either you're on our side or you're against us. For those of you who haven't paid attention, what's going on is that the students in Colombia protested and they had an encampment on campus to protest their university's investment in Israel. So what the student wanted is for that to end. And the president, she responded by calling the NYPD on the students who were peacefully protesting. They were not bothering anyone. And she called the cops on them. And it has escalated. What happened was that NYPD overused violence and arrested up to 500. And eventually, first it started with the students, and then the faculty and the staff joined the protest because they were seeing how their students were being treated, and they did not align with that. They didn't agree with that. So, but that didn't stop NYPD. I mean, in some cases, the National Guard has been called in, as if the students are a national threat. We understand why the students are a national threat, because these are the Ivy League children. They are students, not children, and they're supposed to be educated, because usually the tactic that Israel have used is that for the one, if you're not on our side, if you're not supporting us, if you're not pro-Israel, it means you're uneducated. And if you're not uneducated, then you're anti-Semitic. But these children are students. Why do I keep calling? Because, whenever I talk to them, they're so young. They're like 20 years old, 29, not 29, 23, 22. As someone who's 32, I look at them as children, but they're not children. They have more guts than all the adults combined. But still, I have a soft spot for them in my heart. That's why I see them as children. It's out of love. But either way, the students, they were celebrating Passover on campus. On these encampments, right? And some of them, the community they have, you don't understand. Like, some of them were Muslim, so they were praying, and the other students made a circle around them so that the NYPD would not use violence on the students that are just praying. And then later on, it was Passover, so the Jew students were having their Passover. So how can you call these students? How can you call them? They're just protesting. They do not want their university. And the tuition is extremely high. Of course, they don't want their money going to genocide. They don't want it to be invested in settlements in Israel. So yeah, that's what's happening. And right now, it feels like we're watching a Netflix show, and it's the last season of the global West. Their dominance is about to end. They're grasping on the last straw, and they're not letting it go. And it's becoming so ugly, because anytime an empire is falling, you learn from history that it gets extremely violent, because they're not going to pack their stuff and say, guys, thank you. This has been a pleasure. Let's do it again sometime. They're not going to do that. It's going to be a bloodshed. What's it called? Inevitable. Yeah, my English is Englishing. It's so bizarre, because for someone, my parents always talked about this. I came from a home where it's extremely revolutionary. That's all we talked about. Revolution was the most important thing. And to watch it in real life again, because, when they were invading Iraq and Afghanistan, no one was thinking what I was thinking, right? I mean, all the Muslims, we knew this was wrong. And these were the conversations we were having in our homes. But the majority of the people around us, they supported the war. But now it seems like finally people have woken up, and they see what the government is doing, and they're not here for it. So anyways, what I was saying is that it seems like the West and their allies, they're not willing to accept that things are changing. There is a shift in power, and they are losing it to the global South. What they should have done is learn how to share. And that's what you teach your children. I mean, I have a baby at home, and I teach her, you have to share your toys. And if your mother didn't raise you well, now you're losing power. And when they lose, they're such a crybabies. They're literally children. Because whenever they lose a little bit of power, no, mama said I can't invade Yemen. That's not fair. I want Yemen. That's how they behave. Like, are you kidding me? You can't just go around murdering brown bodies. I know you want to play with them, but that's not okay. Let it go. It's like, when toddlers they grab the cat and they're holding it by the neck and they're choking the cat. It's not a toy. It's a living entity. Let it go. The same thing. Brown people, they are people. You can't just take whatever you want from it, right? So yeah, and it's so bizarre to watch how they are so flabbergasted. They're so taken back and dumbfounded. They cannot believe South Africa is going to take them to ICG. Yes, they can. They were able to. And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like your mother should have just given you a hug. Honestly, that's what Biden needs. Your mother should have hugged you, because why are you unable to grasp, why are you unable to comprehend that an African nation is taking you to court? I'm sorry, it's hilarious. As an African, it's just like, wow, look at these colonizers being shocked. I'm sorry. It's international law. You thought you were above it. And why would you think that? It's so funny. And then you have Brazil, who's just like, are not budging. They are not going to be pressured in alignment with the West. Because America is so used to doing whatever they want in South America. Oh, my days. Have you watched the interview BBC did with, how do you say that name? Guyana? No, I don't know. It's South American, Caribbean country. I shouldn't know how to say it, but I don't. So they have oil. They found oil. And now BBC, this is hilarious. The lack of self-awareness, it's mind-boggling. He literally said, and I kid you not, oil is not good for the climate. The British are concerned with the climate change, the climate. You literally have looted. You looted the whole world. You're the biggest thieves ever. But you want to preach about oil. Everyone else has oil. Why shouldn't they have oil? Because they're poor? Because they look black? Are they even black? I think some of them are black. Stunning color either way. They're golden, honey, whatever they are. How are you going to sit there with your British passport? I don't know. The president, you shouldn't even be allowed in the same room as that president. But of course, they think they're so above everything. Questioning, you do not have the moral compass of the world. That is long gone. And another person who's being complete pain in the ass for Tel Aviv, Washington, and whatever allies Israel has, is the UN special reporter, Francesca Albanese. Oh my God, if she doesn't win the Woman of the Year every year, I don't want it. No. The way they're so terrified of her. And she can literally make and break them, right? But they are so threatened by her. And the fact that she's a fabulous woman. She's a legal scholar. I mean, so she's so much in knowledge. What am I saying? I get so excited I lose my words. You have no idea. Like, my heart is beating. I love her. She's so amazing. So they're so terrified of her, and we have to pray for her safety. So she's going to do the report on Palestine, and they are terrified by that. And they're terrified because it's such a threat to the desperate propaganda, because now they're desperate. It's almost sad. You almost pity them. It's like, let it go. You should leave with a little bit of grace in yourself. How are you? You're going to be arrested. You're going to be arrested. And that day, I'm hosting a party and you're all invited. The day they arrest Netanyahu, oh, what a beautiful day. I feel like we should make it a worldwide national holiday. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone should just go out in the streets and have a blast. So yeah, I think that's all I got to say.